Hello guys, and today we are discussing features from other games that Hell Let Loose could adopt to make it even more awesome. Hell Let Loose is in desperate need of a boot camp and a firing range. Now I don't like to hate on new players too much, well, maybe a little bit, but it's not their fault a lot of the time. There is nowhere to go to practice this game without fear of being ridiculed by a level 200 veteran who's screaming at them for not placing down the supply box. The handy hints that Hell Let Loose kindly flashes up on your screen when you first start the game are either being ignored or just not understood, because it's a lot of writing and people just want to get into a game. Now, if new players were greeted with a boot camp going through the basics of movement, firing your weapon, and then some of the basic tactics to be used when playing the game, and then the wider game meta of placing garrisons, outposts, defending, attacking, supplies, and nodes, would be invaluable. Not just for the new players, but it would also chill out some of the veterans who apparently have forgotten that they were also once a noob. Then we come to the firing range, somewhere where a player can go and spunk all of their MG42 rounds into a static target and get to grips with the recoil, the damage, and the range of the weapon. This is something I feel new and veteran players would absolutely love, especially if you've never fired a bazooka or a Panzerschreck before and you think, I'm just going to nail this tank at 400 meters, and then it flies off and hits a friendly garrison and you suddenly get banned from the server. All in all, I don't think it would be an incredible undertaking to implement, at the very least, the firing range. But, as I've mentioned before, I am not a game developer, so I have no idea how hard it would actually be. The next feature that Hell Let Loose should borrow from another game is the tank damage system from Postscriptum. Now, I hail from the Battlefield series as a long-time player since I was a wee lad playing Vietnam. And back then it was shoot the rocket at the tank, not die, fire another rocket, tank die. And then over the years it's become a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more detailed, with being able to damage tracks, the turret, and what have you. So when I came to Hell Let Loose, I was blown away by what I thought was a very detailed damage system to the tanks, until I went onto Reddit and was told how stupid I was because Postscriptum has nailed it. So I've done a bit of digging, a bit of research, put me a little Sherlock Holmes cap on, the old deer stalker, and it turns out they were right. It is quite impressive. So as far as I can understand from my limited reading and limited intelligence, each projectile, be it a bazooka round, a Panzerschreck, tank shell, what have you, has its own damage and penetration values. And then when it is shot at a certain tank, the system calculates where it hit the tank, how deep it will go, or if it will even penetrate, and if it does, what components inside the tank it will damage, be it the engine, ammo, or the crew itself. This is insane, and I can see why people have been clamoring for this system to be implemented in Hell Let Loose, because it sounds very, very satisfying. I've not played Postscriptum longer than 2 hours, and I didn't actually see anyone that shot me, and I didn't even get near a tank, so I can't attest to that. So if any Postscriptum players are watching, let me know, is this true? Is it as good as it sounds, or is it a load of old bollocks? Now, I imagine a drastic update and a change to the game like this would be quite a big undertaking for the development team, but it's not like I'm asking them to put destruction into the game or anything. Next we have destruction from the Battlefield series and any other game that's implemented it. Now, this is something that I see regularly posted on Reddit and other Hell Let Loose forums, especially from Battlefield veterans and converts alike. Now, when the inevitable conclusion came to me one night, lying in bed, oh my god, they should put destruction in Hell Let Loose, just like in Battlefield, I immediately ran to Reddit and hosted a poll asking what level of destruction would people want to see in Hell Let Loose, ranging from Battlefield Bad Company 2's complete and utter destruction of the map, leaving nothing but a barren wasteland, to Battlefield 3's more subtle and strategic destruction, where partial buildings would come down and trees and walls alike, and maybe some small craters. The consensus was something closer to Battlefield 3 and 4, but maybe not complete building destruction, as that would ruin the flow of many games. And to my delightful surprise, a developer from Hell Let Loose actually got in touch in the comments and explained to me what an idiot I am. No, he basically outlined, while he knows everyone is dying to get destruction added, it would be next to impossible to be implemented into the current build of Hell Let Loose. So he said it's not possible, but he loves seeing these discussions, which is very sweet and very nice to hear from a developer. I felt very important for all of 2 minutes. So with that in mind, I propose something more on the visual side rather than actual buildings coming down and trees being ripped up and massive holes in the ground from a satchel. We have it more to do with the visual side. So, for instance, a tank fires a shell at a building, the shell would explode on the building, and rather than make a giant hole or the building collapsing, you would have a small intrusion, a crater if you will, but the building itself couldn't be penetrated, but it would look on the outside like a big chunk of the building come away, but without actually changing the landscape or the building structure. Therefore, maybe making it a little bit more immersive, have some added audio effects to the explosions and the rubble, being dispersed by the explosion. Maybe the same with trees, like the trees could splinter and fragment slightly without actually coming apart, so you still have the cover, but in your face it's going to look like giant, like 4-foot splinters have just ripped off and bounced around your ear holes. Next we have beefing up the gun audio. Now I do love the audio in Hell Let Loose, it is amazing, but sometimes I feel like the audio from the weapons, the muzzle report if you will, can be a little bit lacking or even be lost altogether in the chaos and cacophony of a battle. A lot of the finer details just don't seem to punch through the rest of the noise. I feel personally if you're firing your own weapon like an M1 Garand, when you're firing that thing, it's only a foot or two away from your own ear holes. So I feel like your own weapon should be the dominant noise coming through, and you can hear all those beautifully audio designed details. Going back to Postscriptum, I've not played very much at all, but the videos I've watched of Postscriptum, like the gun audio is very crisp, very realistic sounding. Now that's not to say Hell Let Loose isn't realistic sounding, in a lot of cases it is, but as I said, a lot of it is lost. There are still some offenders in the Hell Let Loose roster of weapons. The first few that come to mind is the Thompson, which still sounds just a little bit too computer gamey. The weird clickety-clack sound you get from the bullets impacting near you from an MG42, I think maybe could do with a bit of a rework. Maybe the Browning still sounds a little bit computer gamey. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more echo and more of a metallic-y sound to a lot of the guns. But as I mentioned, Battlefield, once again, done a very good job of this. Maybe not so much in the later games. I think Battlefield 4 really nailed the gun audio. They felt punchy, most of them. Next we have a small personal one for me, a party system. Pretty much every other game post 2008 has some kind of party system where you and your bestest buds can join together in the lobby, and then whoever has been elected the squad leader or party leader will drag you into a new game. Now don't get me wrong, I love nostalgia, but everyone individually trying to hunt down the server and get into it and hope you'll make it is a little bit frustrating at times. Not that I play with many people, but it would be nice on the rare occasions that I do that I could just party up and not have to worry about it. Now I've saved the most polarizing for last, and that is death comms from Call of Duty Warzone. Now before you click off the video for even mentioning the dreaded COD franchise, bear with me. Now I'm not saying to implement anything else from Call of Duty at all. I understand everyone's feelings, but the death comms that they introduced in the Warzone game is revolutionary. Now it would still stick to the Hell Let Loose proximity chat rules, so 50 meters is your cutoff. If it's outside that, you can't hear anything. Now this would offer probably zero tactical advantage, but it would be fucking hilarious.
Hello there.
So there we have it guys, my little wish list for features that need to be implemented into Hell Let Loose. If there's any features from other games that I didn't mention, let me know down in the comments, and make sure you subscribe, as aside from more serious videos like this one, well, serious, I have a lot of epic and funny gameplay videos on the channel as well. Also join the Discord, because it's good fun there. Anyway, I've been McBluffin, and I will see you in the next video.